Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into something pretty fascinating, Vastu Shastra. It's this ancient science of architecture with a really bold claim. The idea is that the very layout of your home, where your doors are, which way you sleep, can actually shape your career, your relationships, even your health. So is there some kind of hidden blueprint for our lives written right into our walls? Let's find out. So let me just start by asking you this. Have you ever felt like something in your own home was just a little off? You know, that feeling that maybe there are some unseen forces at play in your life? It's a feeling a lot of us have, especially when we're hitting roadblocks that just seem to come out of absolutely nowhere. I mean, we all deal with it, right? Stress at work, money problems, arguments with family. It's just part of life. But what if, and this is a big what if, the source of some of those problems, and maybe even the solutions, could be found right inside the four walls of your house? And that is exactly where Vastu Shastra comes in. At its heart, it's an ancient Indian science of architecture. And it's built on this really interesting idea that a building isn't just a physical structure. Nope, it's a channel for cosmic energy. So the way it's designed is said to directly impact the health, wealth, and just the overall happiness of everyone living inside. So the big question is, can this ancient system really hold any clues to our very modern problems? Well, instead of just talking about the theory, let's get practical. Let's explore that by looking at a real-world example from our source material. We're about to take a little virtual tour of a specific house. Our source material analyzes this home, pointing out what it calls Vastu defects, and then connects those defects to the actual real-life problems that the residents were facing. It's a pretty compelling way to see these principles in action. Okay, so let's step inside this house. As we go through it, we're going to see how certain architectural choices and even the placement of things are diagnosed from a Vastu point of view. And we're going to start with what the source says is the most critical area in any home. And wow, right out of the gate, we're hit with a really powerful claim. The source says the northeast corner, the Ishan Khan, is absolutely non-negotiable. So in this house, there was a defect in that exact zone. And get this, 2 different tenants lived there. The source recounts a truly tragic history. One couple's relationship ended in divorce, and for the other tenant, a young man, he tragically took his own life. All right, next we see a fundamental clash of elements. The southeast of a home is called the Agni Kon, which means it's the zone of fire. So, what do they put there? A septic tank, a water element, right in the fire zone. According to Vastu, that's like trying to mix fire and water. It's believed to create a massive imbalance. And the source links this directly to the homeowner's own personal history of having one accident after another. Here's another one the source points to, a toilet built right under the main staircase. In Vastu, this is considered a huge defect, and the consequences it claims are super specific, creating constant obstacles for the people living there and even causing delays in marriage for the children of the family. Now we're in the son's bedroom, and here, his bed was positioned so that his head pointed north while he slept. The source material is incredibly strict about this. It explains that in Hindu customs, only the deceased are laid with their heads pointing north. For the living, it's claimed to block all progress in life. And in this case, it was linked to the son's major struggles with finding a job. So we've seen a few really specific defects, right? Now let's kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Vastu puts a ton of importance on the cardinal directions, and especially the 4 corners of a property. Each one is treated as its own zone of power and influence. This chart makes the hierarchy crystal clear. You can see the northeast, that Ishan zone, is right at the top. It's the most critical. It's seen as the divine corner, the source of mental clarity and peace. And like we just saw in our case study, a problem here is believed to have the most severe consequences. The southwest and southeast are right behind it in importance. So think of this as a quick reference guide to what each corner is said to control. The northeast, or Ishan Khan, is all about your mind and clarity. The southeast, Agni Khan, handles fire, health, and cash flow. Then you have the southwest, Nairitya Khan, which is for stability and relationships. And finally, the northwest, Vayavya Khan, is tied to movement and new opportunities. But you know, it's not just about the big stuff, like where the rooms are. Vastu principles go way deeper, right down to the placement of everyday objects. The idea is that where you put things, even small things, can have a really big impact. Okay, Let's take the Laughing Buddha, for example. It's a super common decoration. Well, according to the source, where you put it is everything. It's supposed to face the main entrance, to literally welcome wealth into the home. This positioning is believed to pull in financial energy from the outside world. And yep, the source even suggests a little daily ritual, rubbing its belly for good measure. Mirrors and photos also have their own set of very specific rules. For instance, the source warns that having a mirror in the bedroom can cause health issues, especially for women. On the flip side, it suggests placing family photos in the northwest to create more harmony. And then there are rules for photos of ancestors. They should be in the southwest, but never, ever in a bedroom. And finally, all images and idols of deities should be kept only in a dedicated prayer room. And this just shows you the level of detail we're talking about here. Even something as simple as a wall clock has a rule. The source strongly advises against hanging a clock on any wall that faces south, claiming that direction is bad for progress. So, after our tour of the house and looking at all these objects, what's the big takeaway here? Let's try to boil down the core philosophy of Vastu based on everything we've just seen. If there's one central message to take from all this, it's this. In the Vastu worldview, your home isn't a passive space. It's not just bricks and mortar. It is seen as a living, breathing entity that actively influences and shapes the entire course of your life. So when you boil it all down, trying to get that harmony really focuses on these 4 key areas we've touched on. Making sure you're aligned with the cardinal directions, balancing those core elements like fire and water, being really mindful of where you place your objects, and finally, just maintaining a clear, clutter-free space so that energy can flow. And all of this leaves us with one final question to think about. As you look around your own space, the layout, the things in it, what kind of energy is your home creating for you? You know, whether you fully adopt these principles or just see them as a metaphor, it's a pretty fascinating way to look at the spaces that shape our daily lives. Thanks for tuning in.